Welcome to episode 15 of Celtic Sagas and Law. I'm your host, Martin Vaughan Watkin. Now, in Celtic law, there are many great love stories and epics, but most of them have Romeo and Juliet type endings and not the happy ending in your more Hollywood happy endings. But there are a few stories that are exception to this rule. One is of Eirion and Olwen. Now, Eirion was a young shepherd lad from the Pembrokeshire area of southwest Wales. One day, while working as a shepherd on the hillside, the fog came down quickly and Eirion became lost. Couldn't find his way home. As he walked, he entered a green circle of grass, and no matter what he did, he could not escape from the circle. Try as he might, he could not escape the circle. Then an old man appeared, and Eirion said to him, "I'm trying to find my way home. Do you know the way?" "Fear not, young lad," he said. "Follow me." So Eirion, not having much choice, followed the old man. He led him to the side of a cliff, the great stone face. The old man knocked on the rock face 3 times with his staff, and the rock moved aside and there were steps leading down. So Eirion followed the old man down the steps. And they came out from a cave entrance at the bottom of the steps into a great wooded area, and he knew that he was in the land of the Fae. He turned to the old man and wanted to ask him a question, but he found he could not speak. The old man led him to a great palace. It turned out the old man was the king of the Fae, and he presented to him 3 maidens. Again, Eirion tried to speak and could not. One of the maidens smiled shyly at Eirion and stepped forward to him and moved her finger across his lips. Outside, Eirion could speak and also understand what the people around him were saying. Her name was Olwen, and they fell instantly in love and lived very happily for many years. But after a while, Eirion began to miss his home and his family. So he asked the fairy king if he could return home. And on hearing this, Olwen became very upset and was saying, "You'll never return." He promised her that he would. So, with the king's blessing, they gave him a fine horse and some fine clothes and some gold, and they showed him the way back to the earthly realm. Eirion returned to his village and could not recognise anybody, because in fairy realm, when a mortal goes to the fairy realm, great time passes on the outside. And usually in this story, when somebody returns to the earth plane after spending time in the fairy realm, they normally turn to dust, like in the story of Sean Ap Shakin, the Celtic Rip Van Winkle. But in this case, Eirion did not. He lived for a few months, but missed again Olwen. So remembering his promise, he returned, walked up to the rock face again, tapped it with his staff 3 times, and re-entered the fairy realm. Olwen was overjoyed to see him and presented him with a son. Eirion was overjoyed, and again they lived for many years. But again, Eirion grew homesick and wished to return again and show his son the land of Wales. So this time he went to the king and asked if he could take his family back to Wales to live. Again, the king said, "As long as you keep our secret, then you will be. You may." So Eirion took his young family and returned to the village he had grown up in. Again, many years had passed. And Olwen, being of the Fae, was of great beauty, and everybody inquired where she came from, and all they would say is that she came from a great land far away, and they lived out their days quite happily. And that's the end of that story. The second story is is an Irish one. It's about a young lad called Jamie. Jamie's mother was a widow and lived with a little spare money, but Jamie was a very hard-working lad, so he usually had enough to eat. Near where Jamie and his mother lived was an old ruined castle. People said that the little people lived there, and Jamie had seen them at Halloween, and all the windows of the old ruin lit up, and he could hear the music inside from the thick stone walls. The more he listened, the fairy revealed, the more fascinated Jamie became. When Halloween came round, he decided to go to the castle and peer through the window to see what was going on. So Jamie called his mother. "I'm just going away to the castle to see what's going on there this night." "Oh, Jamie," she said, "don't risk your skin going there," she said to his mother. "You might lose you to the little people." "Have no fear, mother," he called, and out he went. The little people noticed him looking through the castle windows and called his name. "Welcome, Jamie, welcome. We're off to Dublin tonight to steal a young lady. Will you come with us?" Jamie liked the sound of this and was soon flying through the air at alarming speed with the fairies. He landed at a great square in Dublin, and before long the fairies had kidnapped a young woman and carried her all the way home. Jamie was getting anxious at this point for feeling of the feelings of the young lady, so he went to near their home and asked if he could take a turn to carry the girl. When he arrived home, he quickly put her down to his own door. The fairies grew spiteful. "Is that all you can thank us for taking you to Dublin?" they screeched. And as they tried to turn the girl into all sorts of different shapes, a black dog, a bar of iron, a wool sack, they failed. In the end, the little folk threw something at the girl. "There's for your treachery," screamed the fairy. "Now she will neither speak nor hear." They flew off, leaving Jamie and his mother staring at the poor girl. At first, Jamie's mother could think of how they would help the little girl return to Dublin. Could neither speak nor hear, but the girl helped the widow with the cooking and housework. She even outside feeding the pigs and the fowl, while Jamie worked away mending his fishing nets. The three settled down together, but sometimes the girl looked sad at Jamie at his mother, guessed that she must be thinking of her home. When Halloween came again, Jamie decided he would go to see the fairies once more. He crept up to the window, taking no care to be seen this time. Soon he heard the fairies talking about what had happened the year before. The fairies said, "Oh, that deaf and dumb girl. Little does Jamie know that a few drops of liquid could cure her." Jamie burst into the castle and stole the liquid while the little people were welcoming him. He then ran home and gave the girl liquid before anyone could stop him. Jamie and the girl decided she could talk again. They would go to Dublin to find her parents. But when they knocked at the door, no one recognised her. Her parents insisted that the only daughter they had been buried over a year ago. In the end, she showed them a ring that she had accused of stealing the ring and pretended to be their daughter. Jamie and the girl realised that they could tell the people the stories of fair. Then the old man and woman saw that they had deceived, and indeed was their daughter. They showed the girl and Jamie with kisses, and when it was time for Jamie to return home, the girl wanted to go to the pair of them because they're inseparable. The girl's parents realised that the two should be married and set off for Jamie's mother to go to Dublin for the grand ceremony. Afterwards they were all happy, and Jamie felt that his hard work had been richly rewarded. I hope you enjoyed that episode and hope to see you again in episode 16. And thanks for listening.